is probably one of the best planning and zoning attorneys. He represents a number of communities. He does a lot of the work on the other side of representing developers. I believe he may even work as a planner. He's went to the powers that be. Said, hold off. This is terrible. He said it to me. He said, this is terrible. Now we gotta get in for affordable housing. Well, we've got enough affordable housing. They've said that we're exempt.
So I know that my concern, and I expressed it to you
Yes.
in a phone call, and the 62 bothers me. So what about the child that comes home from college, can't afford to get an apartment, so I struggle with that limitation, quite honestly.
I do too.
So
I would like to keep it the way it was, but the section of the statute that I'm hanging my hat on doesn't say the
Yeah.
college kid that came home. It says.
there are a lot of those these days.
Yeah, I know.
mean,
It says disabled or 62 and over. And I'm standing here telling you, and I'm not even guaranteeing you that I'm correct on this.
So is there a dire need to do this right now? And you've put a ton of work into this, Alan, and I know that, and I appreciate that.
My concern is it comes into effect January 1st. And the fact is, I told you, we've already had one application.
Well, I know for me, I can't vote on it tonight because, I mean, I'm hearing two different things and I don't know which is true. Like I said, I didn't read this because of your previous conversations. So I don't even want to vote on it tonight, to be honest with you. So if it goes to a vote, I'm just going to abstain my vote because I don't know if it's good or not, the way it's written, because I have to read it. Like I said, I didn't read it because of our past conversations.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing different stuff tonight than to me, in my mind anyway, what we've heard before. So
I think Al's been quite steadfast in what he's wanted to do right
I'm just saying in
along.
my mind,
Yes, okay.
that's why I
Yeah.
clarified in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm hearing, I shouldn't say we, I'm hearing.
No,
I don't want to be in that mind.
Me either sometimes.
I can, believe me,
Scary place in mind.
I've wrestled with this enough so that I can understand any reservations that you as the council sticking your necks out may have, but I felt this is what you pay me to do, and I had the obligation to bring it to you, and now it's I brought it, and it's your decision. I mean,
Giving your analogy, Dave, regarding the splitting a lot and being able to rent it out to anyone, I don't agree with that. But when it comes to family, I think it's a lot different.
Yeah.
Where I'm not one to put out any family member. If that would be the case, then no, I'm not for it. If we can change the wording on that, then I would be. But
Then maybe we could table this and give Al some feedback to some of the things that we would like to be in the ordinance. I mean, how long it would have to be read twice. I mean, how long do we have to do? How many more meetings before then? Not a lot. We're almost at the end of the year, but we would still have time.
If the council wanted to do that, I would be happy to. And if you sent me something and said, I'd like to see this, I would try to go to the statute and say, I think I can squeeze it into this, or no, you can't do it because of this. I mean, I'd be happy to do it.
I'll be honest with you. I like, and I agree with Councilman Licciardi. Family is
Yeah.
family. And again, I have a great relationship with my nieces and nephews. They're probably like my children. We raised them. So if in law, they're not my son or daughter, but they're my niece and nephew. I can tell you, I helped raise them since they
But
were
your
this
son and
big.
daughter under this law
Wouldn't-
under this ordinance wouldn't be allowed either.
Wouldn't even be allowed
Because they're
either.
not
But
60,
I-
they're
That's
under
what I'm
60.
saying.
Let-
I think it should be
Okay, let me make this suggestion to
no
you.
age restriction, because if you're saying disability in age of 62, there are people in this audience who live with their parents.
Let me,
And if this law went into place and they decided they wanted to go live with their parent in a separate dwelling, they wouldn't be able to.
let me make this suggestion to you that let's go back and look at it and try to come as close to the language we presently have which allows the family, and submit it to you with the language, with no guarantees that it's going to fly.
Well, you're not giving us guarantee. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'd be happy to do that and to.
I am not
remove-
comfortable in the present form. I have to be honest with you. So
Okay.
instead of,
No,
I mean, I don't know if it's a question of tabling it, of taking no action at this point in time. I guess I would take,
I would like it. I would like a table to your December meeting to give me a chance to work it over. And at the December meeting, I will have submitted to you an amended. That way I can keep this in effect and just submit an amended an amended ordinance to you to come before you on your December meeting.
so I guess I would make a motion to table this.
Well, you
No.
you might
Oh, it's
want,
already on the table. Yes. Yeah.
if you table tonight, it takes, if it passes after the second reading, it's 20 days until it becomes enacted, correct?
Correct.
So December 26th would be 20 days from the December 6th meeting, because the law would go into effect January 1st, correct?
Yes.
So you'd want it resolved,
Well,
and if it passes in
the-
play
I-
prior to that,
if on December 6th, they give me first reading, I'm happy. Because, you know,
because if you don't get the second reading until December 20th, it's going to pass into law on January 1st. It won't be, the ordinance wouldn't be enacted until
We have a
20
meeting
days
in
from the
two,
second
don't we have a
reading.
meeting in 2 weeks?
I can live with that.
Yeah.
All right, I mean, I'm just saying, once the law
it'd
goes
be
into
a-
effect.
Can they table the matter to the December 6th meeting? Or continue? continue.
Until the next November meeting.
No, I'm saying to a
Okay,
state
middle of
specific.
time.
So they keep this
Yes.
on the agenda
Yep.
and just continue this to a date certain.
Sure.
That I would appreciate
Aye.
that if you can continue this matter to December 6th. And for me to present I don't want to lose this. I want to just submit an amended one to you to keep this
I'll make
on the
a, make a
table.
motion
That
to.
will be the second reading on December
No.
6th.
No,
No.
It'll be the first
No,
reading.
first reading.
Starting all over. again.
Yes.
Yes, for first
Yes.
reading.
So everyone understands, your first reading would be December 6th.
Yes,
Second reading would be the second meeting in December.
whatever it
Yes.
And then
is.
if it passes 20 days from there, it would become
Yeah.
law,
Right.
even though it's going to become state law. Okay.
I'll make a motion to continue this matter to December 6th town council meeting.
However, we did have a motion and a second on the
Motion
table
passed.
already.
No, we didn't take a vote though.
Okay,
So we,
So
can-
to table, you mean?
so I will withdraw the motion.
Second,
approve this
second,
ordinance?
I second your withdrawal of the first motion to table.
all in favor?
Aye. Now,
Thank
now
you.
now I'll make a motion to continue this matter to the December 6th town council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. And that way I will submit
Thank
it
you, Al.
with a-
Sorry, and
with
I
with
know,
a detailed statement of why.
thank you for all the work you've done.
Thank you, Al. Recusing myself from the next matter.
Well,
All the licenses.
I think everybody should be.
so, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I have to recuse myself from this one. Can we do them in sections or?
Let's do them in sections. Yeah.
If you want to just, or do it all at once, if you want to recuse yourself, we can, there's still three of us. It's up to you. I
That's
don't care
fine.
Either way.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
All right, so two recusals. Okay, and we're recused. No business is on.
Now you guys gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
No, you're fine.
There's no.
Liquor licenses, town council acting as the liquor commission. Do you want me to read all the names, David? or-
No.
Okay.
It's
Class
over.
A renewals, Class B limited renewals, Class B victualler renewals, Class D club renewals, Class T renewals.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Any discussion? Any public discussion on any of these liquor licenses on the agenda? Come on up. Just state your name and
Rosemary Silva, tax collector. I just want to let the council know that there are about 12 that are delinquent only on their second quarter. So I don't know if they just missed it or it's still coming through the mail or they're just a little late, and I am in contact with Michelle and Sarah, so we'll work with them, make sure they pay their second quarter before they get issued their
Yeah,
license.
second quarter was due yesterday, so.
Yeah, it's,
And as usually, you normally do that anyway. You
that's
make
right.
sure
That's when we saw
before
all
the
these, we're like, we
license
wanted
is
to,
issued, we make sure they're up to date on their taxes.
that's right.
But if you
So,
take away their license, they can't make the money to pay their taxes, then I think we're defeating the whole purpose. So I think it's time I say we give all these people a break and just monitor the situation.
Like I said, it's only a day late.
Yeah, so-
It's kind of,
yeah, I'm just letting everyone know
you
that.
might find out next week, nobody was late. so.
Right, exactly.
Following normal protocol.
Yeah, I'm just following, every time we see this, we have to check to make sure they're
Thank you.
current on
Liz.
their taxes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on the liquor licenses? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All Class A, Class B victual, Class D club renewals, and Class T renewal has been approved.
All right, business licenses, 24-hour victualling house license renewals.
Have a motion to move.
I'll move the licenses.
Have a second?
Second, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Wake up. Any comment? Any public comment on the business licenses? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All 24-hour victual house licenses have been approved.
All right, new business. Resolution declaring November 26, 2022, small business Saturday.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Who seconded? We do this basically every year. For the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, declaring November 26th small business Saturday. This comes from Miss Wu. And again, she has she sends us all the literature on it. So again, I think, we need to, like Jay just said, we got to make sure we're supporting our small business here too. I know Amazon and all those good giants are out there taking away from some of the small businesses due to pricing, but declaring November 26th would be great for the town. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request from the West Warwick Civic Center for approval of contract with Nevco Sports Marketing LLC.
Move approval.
Second.
Moving second. Laura, you want to just come up and explain?
Or is this just a hard copy of what
Of
we
what
have
you,
on here?
yeah, except it has some pictures, right? Yeah. The pictures are there too.
So obviously, if you've been to the Civic Center, you know that the scoreboards they're old. They need to be replaced. I found this company that we can partner with, and basically it's free scoreboards. So what they do is they go out and they find the marketing. After the scoreboards are completely paid for, the town will get 50% of whatever the revenue is. I've talked to other towns that have used them. They're very, very happy with them. The scoreboards they're going to be warranted for 5 years. The only thing that they do ask is if we do not renew the contract with this company, that we will honor those people that say someone comes on year 3 and our contract is 5 years, that we just keep their signage up. That's it. Pretty simple. I mean, it's free scoreboards. We're going to make money off of them eventually, and we are in desperate need for scoreboards.
Any questions to Lori? What are other options besides this?
Buying them.
Because I mean, I'm looking at it, it's dated September 27th, so it's like, that's a while ago, but
Yeah.
We're gonna pay $15,000 up front.
The that $15,000 is only if they run into issues and the buildings are old. So in case it's just not a normal install, in case some electrical work needs to be done, that the town is willing to pay, well, the Civic Center is willing to pay up to $15,000 to make sure that they're installed properly. So they're installing them too.
Right, they're installing them, but it's up to $15,000, and then the first $44,000 goes to the company. So we don't
That
see anything.
covers the scoreboards too.
Right, but how long does it take to get to 44,000?
Not very long from my understanding. Within the first year of, if you look at the pictures there, every one of them received money within the first year of their contract with them.
I get that, but
So-
how long, like, how much are they charging for each of these spots to know? Because 44,000 could take 5 years to get there for all I know. I don't know.
So usually the marketing for these are about $5,000 each. So we should be able to get there pretty quickly.
So that's per year or for?
So they do, some companies do 3 years, some do 5 years, some do a year. So on the average, it's $5,000.
Yeah, $5,000 a year, or $5,000 for 3 years, or $5,000 for 5 years.
Length of the contract.
The length of their contract.
Right, so it could take a long time to get the 44,000. I mean, and then
So
after
there's
that,
16 spots. So I don't think that it's going to take that long to get there because we're doing 3 scoreboards in the field house and then 1 in the ice rink, and in the field house in the middle court, we're also doing a shot clock that is also going to have sponsors around it.
because, I mean, we also have to, it says, part of the contract is keep the scoreboards and cabinets in good condition at the owner's expense. I don't know how much that costs to take care of all that. And then after the 44,000, we get up there and they still get half of
For the length of the contract.
the length of the contract,
Right.
right? I don't know how this is, I don't know what a scoreboard actually costs,
So a scoreboard is about between, the scoreboards that we're looking, that would need to go there are between like $5,000 to $10,000, depending on what you do.
So we,
So
spend-
obviously
so
we
we'd
have-
we'd spend
We're getting
$40,000
4.
and we'd still be responsible for the maintenance and anything upkeep too. So
So they're warranted for
Then
5
we-
years.
if we got a $5,000 contract, we keep the whole 5,000 and not have to give 2,500 to somebody else.
you can look at it that way, or you can look that you're not putting $40,000 up front either.
$40,000 up front, then.
And you have to go chase, and you have to have somebody go chase these businesses to put banners, put these,
I don't see enough information here for me to be comfortable with this, to be honest with you. I mean, we don't know how much an advertisement is. We don't know, how long
It
it's gonna take
depends
to
on
get to
each one of them are
44,000.
different prices.
I get that, but we don't know like how long it's gonna take to get to 44,000. This could take us the whole 5-year contract with them and then we still end up with nothing at the end. So I just don't see enough information here for myself, especially with the $15,000 up front.
No, the $15,000 is not upfront. The $15,000 is if there runs into a problem. So if we run into a problem during the install,
Of
that's
any of all 4.
of any of
This
the
is all
4
4 in
or
a
the shot
package.
clock. Yep, of anything that happens that we will, and obviously it would be our issue anyway. So it would be the issue of maybe something was done faulty along the way, 30 years ago. And they come across it and they say, okay, well, this needs to be fixed correctly and this is how we're going to do it. And this is the safest way to do it. So that's where the $15,000 would come in. If that were to happen, we can't guarantee that would or it wouldn't happen either. I mean, it might just be an easy install. I mean, right now there are scoreboards already there. So
So if they run to an issue where it's above the 15,000, then they would cover, or will you have to
Yes.
come back to, okay.
yes.
I believe Lori has already worked out an arrangement with the school department if we need electrical assistance
I just,
or upgrades.
for me, it's not knowing how much it would cost for us to just do it ourselves. There's nothing in here that says this is what the alternate cost is, like from another company. Hey, how much would it cost for a scoreboard this size with this amount of advertising space on it? There's
Right.
nothing here to tell me that. So I don't know if this is a good deal or not a good deal.
And I understand your predicament. My predicament is that there's other things within the facility that require money that the facility will make from revenue. The bleachers, for instance, need to be upgraded for the safety purposes. So that's a priority more than the scoreboards are. But if you're a team that's coming in, I have to be able to invite them, and it needs to look nice. And, you know, our scoreboards are very old.
What did we generate in revenue last year from the Civic Center?
Off the top of my head, I do not have that answer, but.
5, 10, 15, 20? What ballpark range?
Oh, for advertising alone or?
No, in
for-
the end, at the end of the year, were we in the red or the black? Okay, so we're in the black by roughly 10, 20, 100.
Yeah.
So why couldn't we utilize that? Where is that money right now?
So that's, it adds to the net position
Mhm.
of the enterprise fund at the end of the year, which they still have the due from where they still owe the town, so it reduces what they owe the town and the due froms.
So it ends up in the general fund.
All right, so why couldn't we take, knowing we had that money, why couldn't we take that money and just purchase $50,000 worth of scoreboards?
But then again, it goes back to that, who's going to be selling the ads for those things? I mean,
There's a
that's-
long list of priorities that a lot of our facilities needs. This, in my opinion, this is a way to shift the burden to somebody else, obviously for a for-profit business who will make it, and they'll make good money for doing it. But it gets us upgraded, one of the simpler things that we need to do, upgraded fairly quickly so we can focus on some other priorities, especially there with, you know, painting, signage, and some other things we'll talk about later.
So this really, other than that potential $15,000, will not cost us out of pocket anything.
Correct.
And I guess I would have to ask, you do advertising around the field house now.
Correct.
Are we allowed to continue
We're
that?
allowed to continue to do that. We're allowed to continue with the Zamboni. We're allowed to continue with the in ice.
Okay.
We're allowed to continue with the dasher boards. We're allowed to continue with the banners.
And I guess the other question I would have is, I'm not sure that we would have the expertise to actually put these banners on these scoreboards if we were to buy this kind of scoreboard anyway. I
Correct.
mean, okay.
And, have you, I see East Greenwich, I
Yeah.
can't tell what the other towns are. Had you had any conversations with any of these other
Yeah,
communities that have
and
these?
they're all very, very happy. They're all getting money every year from them. I mean, I don't know if any of you have been to either of the stadiums in Cranston. Both of those have these signage. The new gym that's in East Providence has that. So, and they also put it on their football field, but I mean, I've seen them. They look great. They don't seem to be having any problems. No one has had any technical issues with them either.
Like I said, for me, I just don't see enough information here to tell me whether or not this is beneficial for the taxpayers or not. That's my issue. I'm not worried about the signs looking nice. I'm sure the signs are gonna look very nice. That's not my issue. But we
Right,
can also
so-
get another sign, and it's what I want to see information on, is other signs. If we were to purchase it ourselves, how much would it cost to have the same exact type, size sign for what you need? And it's not here.
So I just want to clarify something. So the Civic Center is an enterprise, so no tax dollars would take care of this. So the Civic Center is run strictly on revenues.
Okay, then go back to what Councilman Licciardi said. Why didn't we use that revenue for that instead of putting it back in the general fund?
It's not getting put back in the general fund.
That's what the council president just said.
Oh,
It-
the money's
it's a
coming
due
back
fund.
to the town because the Civic Center
It
owes the
reduces the
town
amount
money
they owe
to
us.
reduce the amount. So I imagine any money that comes from them goes into the general fund. It
Okay.
doesn't go into a specific fund in our line items, correct?
Okay, so then our taxpayers are already paying for part of the Civic Center if the Civic Center owes the taxpayers money. So if this isn't beneficial to the taxpayers to where we can pay the taxpayers back quickly, then I would like to have that other information to make sure that I know that this is something that's beneficial for the taxpayers.
How,
That's all I'm asking for.
how, long? Like, if we were to approve this, how long would it take for them to get these scoreboards? Like, when would we be able to see these?
He said I should see them within a few months, but that's,
This date, I think this date's up on top.
those are just dates of.
Wouldn't this have to go out to bid though?
It's passed.
And I'm just thinking of, wouldn't this have to go out to bid? Because I'm just thinking in the past, I know when we approved, it was for recycling. And we had someone come up who wanted to do the recycling, pick up the clothes. And we had another company that came in and wanted to do that as well. And we dealt with different agencies with that, and it came forward to us, and we had to have it go out to bid.
Again, I don't know whether or not this would be under the master agreement that they have with the state, for example. I don't know what URI or Rhode Island College or any of the state schools use for scoreboards, so I don't know if that's there. But unless the enterprise zone has some type of authorization whereby the town would avoid going out to bid, usually you do have to go out to bid for these things. But they may not be the same type of companies that have the same.
Right, which
you know,
is fine.
They have materials, they have installation, they have labor, and they have the added component of advertisements. So I know the answer to the question, but normally.
So if we wrote a bid up based on what you wanted, and there's only one company out there that does it, then obviously we'd be looking at that as their response to a bid. If two companies do that, then we have something to compare.
Are there other, that you know of, are there other companies in the state that do this kind of work? And how did you initially?
I just Googled, again, the facilities need work. They do.
No, I understand that. I just want to make sure we're following the right process.
Running the facilities, I have to stay competitive with the other ice rinks, the other facilities of such, and, the scoreboards are something pretty to look at. They, at the end of the day, they're pretty. When you walk in, you see them, they're big structures in there, and they're just nice to look at.
Would you
Very professional, not pretty.
Pretty.
Would you suggest that we put this out to bid then with the specs for this, and see if any other companies are offering a similar service?
Hold on, with the specs now, if you put everything in there regarding materials, labor, et cetera, I don't know how you put a bid together with advertisement, because advertisement is if you have 16 spots, you only sell 8. It'd be difficult for someone to actually respond to the bid.
Yeah.
Because if you put it as close to 100% as possible for all the information, you may have nobody bid on it.
Well, you have
If the town says we're expecting X amount of dollars first year in advertisements versus first 3 years, first 5 years, it'd be very difficult to put that bid together. It's not like saying we want something for
Right,
carpet.
but we still have to put it, we're still dealing with.
All right, would you
with-
feel better if I reached out to each town or city that has used them and gotten letters, and I
Find out
could
the process that they use.
No, if they give you a letter saying it's a great deal, I'm not
Yeah.
questioning if it's going to be good or bad. I'm questioning.
No,
Well, if you wanna
Hang
put
on a
it-
minute. I'm questioning if we're following the process.
You want to put it out to bid.
We
that's
have to go
fine.
out to bid.
That's fine.
I don't want to be caught on that.
Don't micromanage the bid so much that nobody can respond to it.
I'm not writing the bid.
I know that.
So whoever's writing the bid should be aware of that.
could we,
Whether it's a team or a
much
person, I
simpler,
don't care.
can we just find out the process that these similar communities have used to hire them?
Sure.
Find out if they went out to bid. That seems like
That
not
process
sure
still doesn't answer my question is it beneficial to us as financially to do it this way or to buy our own? That's what I want to know. I would like a list of how
So
much.
I
it
will
costs for
get that
signs.
too for you.
Yes.
So
That's
I
what I
will
would
get a
like.
list from each city and town that has chose to use them. I will find the marketable same scoreboards that they would be giving us, and I will put it all together and I will send it all to all of you. And then I will ask Sarah to put this on the next agenda.
But I think what you're asking is if we didn't do this, we just bought scoreboards.
Correct.
So,
I would-
but,
My problem is I just don't have the money
but
to buy
that
the scoreboard.
requires a cash outlay. Yeah, there are two different issues
Yeah.
here. Yours
They're
is
right.
it, and yours is, are we following the purchasing
Wait, so
guidelines?
Lori, if people are using these scoreboards and they're in contract with them, obviously they like them. I wouldn't personally, if you want to do that work, that's fine. I'm not asking you to do that.
Mhm.
I think they're all going to come back with glowing recommendations, which is fine.
Mhm.
My question is, because we're spending this much money, do we need to go out and put a bid together? And
But
that
we're
bid
not
can be
spending
put
any money,
together
though.
however you want to put it.
So that's the kicker. The most we're going to spend is $15,000. It costs us nothing other than that.
Okay.
Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if they run into problems, I'm going to assume they're going to.
Yep.
They're going
Yeah,
to use that
it's-
$15,000. So getting these 4 scoreboards will cost us $15,000
Correct.
with the potential of actually getting money back as the 5 years goes on.
Correct.
Because once they get recouped their $44,000,
Mhm.
which I assume is the cost of the scoreboards,
Correct.
they will then share at a 50% rate with us.
Yes.
And explain to me again, after the 5 years and the contract's over,
We do not have to renew with them. The scoreboards are
are
ours.
ours.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
if someone signed in, say someone say someone, all right, so someone signs on for a 5-year contract and they go out of business.
We honor it.
Yep, that's all
Yes.
they ask. And then someone else signs on, 2 years into it and they still have additional years that we keep that sign up.
So the most that this could cost us other than is the $15,000 over the 5 years,
Correct.
with the opportunity to recoup that plus some others, once that $44,000 is recouped from the advertising.
I would
Yes,
just,
okay.
I would ask you for the next meeting to, one, to find out from those communities the process that they use to hire this company. And two, just maybe give us a rough ballpark of how much money that those communities made off the advertising.
Okay.
That would probably be good idea to know that. Again,
love to know that.
you might find out that Nevco is on the master pricing agreement. I don't know that. So,
Okay.
Thank you for your work though for this.
but I think it's a great idea we certainly do need new scoreboards, and if we can do it this way,
Right.
I'm not so sure.
And again,
that
I
we-
would have no problem buying them if everything else was
I
up to
think-
par.
I think this is a good idea, but I just want to make sure that we don't rush and we make sure that we make the right decision and don't speed through it. But if you bring it back to us next meeting with some of those questions.
See you next meeting.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Lori.
I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Did we actually have to take the original? Yeah. All right.
All right, update on the progress of the Matthew Dennison Memorial Project and consideration of next steps.
Good evening and thank you. In mid-August, I was directed by the town council to further the discussion and establish a work group to review plans, address community partner concerns, determine municipal involvement, and propose a path forward with the creation of a Matthew Dennison Memorial. I surveyed various municipal departments that would be involved in this type of project and held a work group meeting on September 13th that included but was not limited to the Dennison family, the Reeds, Brian Moyo, school committee members, Louis Cologne and Susan St. Armand, Superintendent Tarasevich, Rec Committee member, Mr. Marzullo, Acting DPW Director Caldwell, and Town Councilors Williamson and Lichardi. The following topics were generally discussed, amongst others: routine maintenance of a site, inclusivity of a memorial, a site dedicated to uplifting awareness and recognition of positive personal qualities, best practices in consideration of a memorial, and site and design modifications. So this evening, I just wanted to provide the information that I had collected in a general sense and offer some additional information. So the first part, obviously, I attached to the memo that I sent out was the image of the conceptual plan. Most of you are aware that Brian Moyo, a registered landscape architect, worked with the Dennison family to provide a design that is more inclusive and reflects the comments of the whole community. The proposed site was modified and moved from the sidewalk area adjacent to the parking lot to in between the ice rink and the Civic Center buildings near the former shot put area. The actual memorial structures to be constructed and paid for by the private donor in coordination with the Dennison Foundation are contained within the oval of the center of the proposed conditions plan. Mr. Moyo is prepared this evening to offer and expand on that if you wish, to describe the intent and the features in more comprehensive detail. But to quickly go over just a few other matters, as far as building and zoning, our building official reported that he would review any final plans for proposed structures upon council approval and would provide the required permits. He didn't see any issues with that. The area would meet the setback requirements for an R10 district and also be considered accessible. The fire marshal's office did not have any concerns with the conceptual plans, as they did not reveal any obstructions to emergency egress nor obstructions to any fire or rescue apparatus and personnel. The interlocal trust reported that once the site or structures are accepted by the town, it would be listed as incidental insured property on the town's property schedule at replacement costs, subject to our $2,500 deductible. If we wanted to increase coverage due to actual value being significantly more than replacement costs, we would have the site listed as fine art like we did the at the Crompton Playground area, the historical building. That addition was added as fine art, would be subject to a minimal additional premium. The Department of Public Works and the Recreation Department would be charged with maintaining the grounds as they do now. The Civic Center and ice rink budget would absorb the minimal monthly utility cost for any type of electrical or water upgrades and enhancements for safety and aesthetics. That the last two things that I just wanted to share is obviously so far the council has made a commitment to invest tremendously in our recreational facilities. I would intend is to continue making investments in our recreation facilities and plan on recommending several significant improvements to the Civic Center and ice rink within the next few months in anticipation of construction in the spring. The biggest project proposed would be the redesign and paving of the parking lot. The proposal would also include replacement of some of the concrete sidewalks, the rehabilitation to include concrete walkways and landscaping in the area between the two buildings, paving of the access road behind the buildings, painting of the buildings, and new signage. These proposals would coincide with the Dennison proposal, and the projects would complement each other and provide for a beautiful, safe, and respectable product for our citizens and visitors. In my closing, I believe the path forward involves some type of memorandum of agreement or understanding between the town and the private entity or person to lay out the scope of work, physical location boundaries, the finalized structure plan, financial expectations, liability coverage during construction, and a process for any type of dispute resolution that came up. So if you don't have any questions, Mr. Moyo is prepared to show his graphic design, which obviously includes much broader area, but he was generous enough with his time to get a head start on that, as obviously my intention is to propose some more work in that area this winter for construction in the spring.
Any questions for Mark? Brian, you want to come up and?
Mark, I brought you a scale drawing, so you don't have to swing.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mark. For the record, Brian Moyo, 132 Rollingwood Drive. I'm a landscape architect in the state of Rhode Island. And as Mark pointed out, we met back in September with everybody that was present, and the overall feeling was to make the design more inclusive. And I think Councilwoman Williamson kind of asked me on the spot, like, if you had to put the memorial in one specific location, thinking on a macro scale, where would it be? And as we all walked around, we kind of felt that it made more sense to bring it up into that space between the two buildings. So the essence of the memorial that you saw in the previous plans, the rendering, the elevation that I had done with the hockey stick, that is pretty much stayed the same. As Mark described, everything inside that oval shape, that center oval shape, it's the intention of the Dennison Foundation and the Reeds to bear the cost of implementation of that. On a macro scale, I thought it was, and I think that the general consensus that area is tired and it needs some upgrading. So I tried to be creative and develop a way to begin the experience of entering both the Civic Center and the ice rink, starting at the parking lot. Right now, there's a flagpole on one of those planters where we were originally proposing the memorial, and the other one's just a vacant landscape bed. So we would increase seating there, a couple of new benches. The asphalt walks that come up into that space would get totally removed. They would get replaced by kind of that, I guess, football shape of concrete coming up, benches, lighting, landscaping on either side of you. That brings you up to a large gathering area. So if it is a big hockey event or tournament, there's plenty of place outside the building for people to gather before they enter into the building, perhaps if you're selling tickets or whatever it may be. And then You are greeted by the Matthew Dennison Memorial, but then the journey continues to what I identify as the Community Remembrance Garden. It was very important to everyone present, especially the school committee members and the superintendent, that we don't want to leave anyone out. And I think that's important for the Dennisons and everyone that had stake in the project. So I kind of came up with this idea of these inspirational, words, quotes, whatever it may be, like etched into the concrete on your journey to that Community Remembrance Garden. And that would be, there'd probably be some sort of memorial plaque at the end there with some sort of quote or image. I mean, we really haven't really talked much about that part of it. It's kind of a unique project where I'm trying to focus on the Dennison Memorial and then also offer my expertise to the town on the overall picture there. But there'd be an opportunity for everyone to come into that space and enjoy it as well. And then I just kind of took my typical stab at how do we improve the landscaping. The buildings are kind of architecturally out of date. So how can we soften them in a cost-effective manner, which is why you see landscaping. And if you zoom into that image, and I'm not asking you to do that, I'm suggesting that there's some landscape lighting there to kind of soften things and make it more aesthetically pleasing. I do think that this could really be a great project as a whole for the town, a great opportunity to remember Matthew and also, remember all the other children and families that have lost someone, unfortunately, as well. And I think that Mark has done a great job kind of pushing this forward. So if you have any technical questions of me, I'm happy to answer. I did say to Mark in an email, just so to be clear, that, I can only bring the design on a macro scale to a certain point because I'm working with not 100% accurate base information. So typically as a landscape architect, I'd get a survey and then I can develop grades. So one of Mark's first questions for me after I sent the design to him is it ADA compliant? And I can tell you that if the town does not build anything else and allows the Dennison Foundation and the Reeds to build just that center oval, that center oval is ADA compliant. And Mark said to me, well, how can you be certain about that? And I can't be certain that the gradient between that space onto the parking lot meets ADA accessibility. However, my argument would be, as an accessible route, there's a handicap ramp that brings you into the Civic Center right now. That's integral to the building. And then there's access out of the office space into that area. Also in the ice rink, that same accessibility exists. In addition, from the backside of the building, I'm confident by just looking at that grade that it's less than 1 in 5 gradient. So we would comply with that. Just if, let's say, the bigger project doesn't happen for several years and that happens in the spring, and it's not probably going to happen that way. But from you guys sitting in your seats right now, I can look you in the eye and say it's compliant. So that was a question that Mark had asked of me. And I've also, I didn't share it with Mark, and I probably won't share it tonight just because I don't want to start, how much is this all going to cost? So I have done a preliminary cost estimate on what the town's contribution would be to this, but I don't really want to get too focused in on that yet, simply because there's a lot of unknowns. Like, I need more information in terms of that base information to really establish that cost. And it depends on how the project's going to be built. Is it going to be built through the DPW? Is it going to be built through a private entity? That could vary on cost. Is it prevailing wage? So I've tried to fluff up my numbers, and I can certainly share that with you, Mark, the spreadsheet that I came up with, or any of you. I'm not trying to hide anything, but I don't want that to be the focus of tonight's agenda item.
Any questions for Brian?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for Brian. And you were put on the spot in that meeting, and we talked about where we, as we stood at the original spot, it was clear that wasn't going to work, and it wouldn't do it justice, quite honestly.
Right. I think the essence of the original design, in terms of the
Absolutely.
elevation of it,
Absolutely.
no matter where we put that, it's going to be done right. But as a bigger picture, I think this is the right solution for that area. And I tried to go away from my symmetrical
We talked
layout.
about that, yeah. But
That's for you, Mary Beth.
thank you very much for giving that. Yeah,
That's my pleasure. I'm happy to do it.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you need from the council, Mark?
No, again, my vision on proceed, and I can work on the final part moving forward as far as coming up with the right documentation and an MOA or an MOU, is that I envision it kind of being a 3-phase project, with phase 1 being the oval handled privately. Phase 2, hopefully happening in conjunction with it, timing wise, is the town's part on my proposal to fix the parking lot and concrete and starting landscaping, in addition to other simultaneous projects like I had mentioned, between building painting and upgraded signage. And then phase 3, which I would envision probably doing a little later, unless we find another source or a more appropriate way to do it, is handle that last. I for Brian's purposes, I kept referring to it as the squiggly walkway, not too technical, but the additional memorial space. We can take our time to try to do that right, and whether that's something we do more in conjunction with the school department or another entity, that would be phase 3. So.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Resolution authorizing the purchase of a used bucket truck for the Department of Public Works.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moving second. Jeff?
Good evening, council. We're looking to purchase a used international bucket truck. It's a 2007. It's got 41,000 miles on it. It's to replace our 1997 bucket truck that has been taken out of service by the mechanics. That's no longer serviceable. This will fit our needs for better serving the town for tree trimming. It comes with it. It's going to have a chip body on it, a 60-foot boom, and everything we need to do our work properly. We are going to have the proper training with it. Make sure everybody's trained and up to speed on it. And I think it's definitely going to benefit the department for sure.
Any questions for Jeff? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, resolution authorizing the purchase of a used hook truck for the Department of Public Works.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Move second, Jeff?
Again, this is only going to benefit the department. We had on order through our capital a brand new hook truck. That's over 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years ago. And it hasn't even been built yet. They haven't even got the frame in yet. So we don't know when we would get it. And we need something now. The backyard is getting real busy. 2 hook trucks, plus if we have one go down, we have a spare. Gonna put a plow on it. It is gonna plow snow, so it's gonna add to our fleet. It's in very good shape. We've called, we've checked it out. Everything is exactly what we need. And it will also lift the heavier dumpsters. You know, in the wintertime when there's ice and stuff in them, where the other truck has a little trouble lifting them. So I'd like to cancel the other truck and purchase this one because we don't know when we're gonna get.
Can you remind me what the original truck cost?
It was 85,000. And that was
old price.
correct.
Yes, okay.
That's correct. So
Yeah.
I would, South Kingstown just bought one and it was 115,000.
Okay.
You say that for this it's in capital, correct?
Correct. No money it's money that we've already had in capital allocated. So I'm just reallocating the money from what we were originally gonna buy to this. And with the money that we are saving, we can retrofit it with stuff that we need to make it work better for us also.
Any questions for Jeff?
So basically you're getting a 2-for-1.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Resolution authorizing the transfer of funds to the West Warwick Veterans of Foreign Wars 449 from American Rescue Plan funds for the restoration of easement access to 213 Providence Street.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Good evening again. I'm proposing, after a request, a very nice letter from the VFW Post 449. They brought up the fact that there is an easement through the private road from Providence Street that runs to one of our residents behind. The area up there has been very deficient. We have issues on occasion with our public safety personnel making it there. In addition, our town trucks and solid waste and recycling gets picked up in that area. So there is a short section of the easement that has been extremely deficient. With American Rescue Plan funds, the VFW Post is requesting our assistance with a small grant in order to address that issue that I believe is infrastructure that's for the benefit of health, safety, and well-being of our citizens. So I'm requesting that the council authorize the use of American Rescue Plan funds to encumber $14,750 to assist the VFW Post 449, a nonprofit organization, as a beneficiary in the restoration of an easement access to 213 Providence Street.
Any questions for Mark?
I don't have any problem with this. It's something we're supposed to take care of anyway. I just want to make sure that because they went out and they found the company that's listed here. Is that something that's appropriate, or does it have to go out to bid, or?
No, in this circumstance, just like the beneficiary, as we treated the American Legion to restore that park, they engaged the Rhode Island National Guard. They're strictly a beneficiary, so we're more or less giving them a grant to cover their project or a portion of whatever their project, and they can deal with their procurement if they have their own internal rules.
Okay, that's my only question. I just make sure on that. So.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution authorizing the purchase of portable and mobile radios for the fire department.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Move second, chief. How are you tonight?
Good evening, everyone. So as the letter had stated to you, we had identified a capability gap in the fire department. We have some equipment that, not all the equipment, but some of the equipment is at its end of life. We submitted a grant and were awarded money to get radios. Unfortunately, it doesn't meet all of the price. So what we're asking for is just under $130,000. The cost of the radios, retail cost at the time that we got the quote, which was just before a price increase, was $761,000. We're getting, because of the amount of equipment that we're buying, we're getting about $177,000 off. In speaking with the Motorola representative, they were able to afford us $44,000 in trade-in value for some of our older equipment, bringing our total cost down to 500, whatever the total is there. So the numbers break down, and what we need to get would be to finish the purchase would be $129,922.30. That would get 42 portable radios. The portable radios will be dual band radios. Currently, we operate on VHF, which is a very high frequency. We and East Greenwich are the only communities are on that right now in the area. Providence, Cranston, Warwick, North Kingstown have all transferred to 800 megahertz radios. So that's what the Rhode Island Emergency Management Radio people want everyone to go to. They monitor that in larger incidents. They can help coordinate resources coming in and out of the city on 800 radio. So all of our portable radios will be dual band between VHF and 800. Our mobile radios, which will be the truck radios, we're getting 12 of those. They'll be tri-band. Coventry and West Greenwich are on what's called UHF, a third band. Okay. So our trucks will be able to communicate, portables won't in those areas. Those communication centers can patch frequencies together in those circumstances. It's not ideal. Our emergency identifiers don't work as well or at all, through that patch. So that's another concern. So does anybody have any questions about that? Any questions?
Yes, just one. So where, with this grant, if we purchase all these,
Mhm.
will we be up to date with, are we going to still be behind? And next year, all right, we need to purchase more because we have.
No, so this will get all of our frontline apparatus. Director Hool can maybe speak a little more to that, but that will get all of our frontline apparatus and our reserve apparatus in with tri-band radios. We're also getting 9 repeaters that will go on our frontline apparatus. And the 42 portables will be all the riding positions and staff. So
yes, the grant, what the grant would cover and what the town would be adding in would bring everything up to date currently. But over the years, as stuff goes out of date, we would then be slowly replacing. So probably next year's budget, I would ask for a few more portable radios. And then the mobile radios we usually purchase as part of the trucks when we purchase them or replace them. So in getting 42 portable radios right now, next year, within 2 years, I'd ask for a couple more to slowly start, keep bringing new ones into place. And that way, as things break, get damaged or whatever else, we have something that we can work into the system.
Okay.
you don't have to buy 42 all at
No,
once.
exactly. To prevent us
Right.
from buying 42 all at once again. If we
Okay.
keep it a
After-
pace of, 4 to 5 a year, something in that range, it's gonna take us 10 years to replace what we're getting now.
Okay.
And I'm
If that
assuming,
makes sense.
and I'm assuming with the radios you have now, you have a lot of dead zones.
The radios that we have right now, we have some dead zones, the repeaters that the chief was talking about that are in the mobile trucks, that are coming as part of this, replace ones that we already have. So this would improve our radio coverage throughout the town. And more importantly, would improve coverage when we're going out of town, and it would also help with some of the coverage with other communities coming in to assist us. So it's gonna provide assistance in both ways for what we're doing.
And the 800s definitely help with that as well.
800s definitely help with that as well. Again, different communities using different types of radios. So what we're getting is gonna integrate everything and allow us to communicate with all of our neighboring communities going forward.
Any questions for the chief or Joe? Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Consideration of Greenbush parking lot.
Mark?
I asked Mark about this again. We met back in August with Karen and Ken. And they were supposed to do a study. They wanted to wait till after the first few weeks of school because obviously there's a lot more traffic for those. And I just haven't heard anything since. So
I did communicate with the superintendent yesterday. Obviously, their attention was focused on a potential labor issue and getting kids to school tomorrow, which has worked itself out, fortunately.
That's probably a good thing to let people know that is the
Exactly.
case in case the word hasn't gotten
School's
out.
open,
There
buses
is
will
no,
come.
there is no bus strike. That's right.
But they did reach out to their architect firm who said they are in fact working on it. And they anticipate having something back shortly. I know when they originally school year started, they anticipated mid-October having the feedback with the traffic study and the feedback from staff. But it was not ready as of yesterday afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, because like there's 17 houses going up in Ward 4. Those two developments, there's 2 new ones they just built on East Greenwich Avenue. They're going to be occupied soon and they're both for families. The condos that they're going to put in on East Greenwich Avenue, I know they're supposed to be zoned a certain way, but we all know how that goes with the Madison Ridge is, not what it was supposed to be. So I'm just looking at all this new development we have coming in. It's just going to increase the amount of traffic at Greenbush and it's got to be fixed. So I'm going to keep putting it on there. Do we get an answer?
Thank you, Mark.
petition from the Rhode Island Energy for pole placement on Keys Way.
Move approval.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Upcoming appointments, sewer use board of review, appointment to fill vacancy as an alternate member for a 3-year term. Sewer use board of review, appointment to fill vacancy as a regular member for a 3-year term. Juvenile hearing board, appointment or reappointment as alternate member for 4-year term. Expiring, November 2026. Pension board, 3 appointments or reappointments for 3-year term expiring November 2025. And West Warwick Housing Authority, 3 appointments or reappointments for 5-year term expiring November 2027. Public forum.
I have one question on the pension board. Since we're in the MERS, when are we going to, or are we going to be dissolving a pension board?
I would say eventually, but I don't think at this point in time. I mean, because there are still issues that do come up.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's obviously historical knowledge there that the board chair has, as well as the recording secretary and the labor attorney that can help get through as we work through some matters. So I don't think there's much left to do as that's pending that we have to act upon. Most of it has been, there was a couple of disability matters that were deferred to the state. I think there might only be one pending matter that we may have to meet on, but even the approval of bills, I've been doing administratively because we're the funding source at this point. So it doesn't, and it's not coming out of pension funds and they're very minimal.
So do they have any decision make? Are they a liaison to?
Essentially, that's what it is now.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Any other public comment?
Council President, I have one if someone's coming up, and I just wanted to, obviously, we have the prototype of the chamber podium that our school kids have made. If you see it, I forget the name of the material that it's made out of. That's it. I still won't remember it. But as far as the feedback from the students already, they would like to make a heavier base to prevent it from being top heavy to help prevent topple. They already envision having the top being slightly larger so it can hold like a standard folio type folder for presentation materials. That movable plastic right there is a template on top. It fits the base of the microphone so it can be slid on either side. That would be a different type of material, but they were very excited about that. He explained how they engineered it. That was way out of my league. The kids were very impressive. And then finally, the final construction would be made out of hardwood. And I believe he said that the emblem, the town emblem seal would be on both sides, and I think laser engraved and filled with epoxy. So it'll be a very impressive finished product. And it's my intent to make it so it essentially can go on either side of the chambers with a longer microphone cord. And that way, based on the type of presentation it can be swiveled to face the audience if it's something that's being directed towards our guest, or this way towards the council, and then whichever side makes more sense. So if anyone has any comments, feel free to share them with me. I know they want to send their leader and a few students that were involved in it probably till the next meeting. If I get them the feedback earlier, they'll obviously start on the final product earlier. So if anyone has anything for me, or anyone from the public has any comments, I'll be more than happy to pass it on.
Thank you, Mark.
Good evening, Tom Oates, 6 Colonial Way. Mark, the Audio Technica, if you look them up on the internet, you'll find that this base is kind of holding, it's perfect for desktop, but you can have a hole drilled into the podium, and this will unplug. It just pops right out and plug it into a hole. And like we have in church, you got the 9-volt battery. It can be hooked in. $50, I bet you could spend on that, and you wouldn't have to have that business on the top. Something to consider. as far as my public comment, this is in absolutely no way anything political. All my life, my parents taught me some great lessons. One of them was charity doesn't have to cost a dime. You look out for your family, your friends, total strangers. You be mindful of those less fortunate. Say hello, say goodbye, please, thank you, and always offer a helping hand to someone that's down and out. On or about October 21st, a Facebook post went up offering rides to the polls for anyone that was in need. Within minutes, the post blew up in absolute lunacy. Insinuations that these rides were exclusively for the supporters of one particular candidate in exchange for the vote for that particular candidate. After reading through all the negativity and the downright lies, I was compelled to make the following remark, and this is verbatim. It's copied right off the Facebook post that I put up. To all on this thread, and the thread was like 160 people, or 160 comments, I should say. As I will most likely be the person to arrange the rides for those in need, I will assure you that as many citizens of West Warwick as possible will be accommodated, regardless of the ward or political affiliation. The vote and offer for a ride is for all. Whether you live in Mary Beth Williamson's Ward 1, David's Ward 2, or Jason Messier's Ward 3, vote for them or vote for their opponent. Just get out and vote. November 8th has much more at stake than little old West Warwick. So within an hour, I was sent a screenshot of a comment that was made, and I couldn't see it because I'm blocked by this particular keyboard warrior. And the warrior posted, quote, "Hey, Ward 3, I'll bet all of you can't wait to get a ride from Tom Oates, LOL. Courtesy of a particular candidate, which the candidate was named, particularly to that candidate's campaign, LOL, big bold letters. I encourage all of Ward 3 to take the opportunity to be chauffeured around on November 8th, LOL again. Let's keep the dude nice and busy, LOL, and see how many he will refuse, LOL. Since I was a kid, I've always made the offer for rides. I'm not a big drinker, partying, New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day, anything like that. I've always offered rides. Go into the polls. You need a ride, give me a call. I'll make sure you get there. I've done this all of my life. And I've never, ever encountered anything so negative, and let alone as insane as the comments that this keyboard warrior made. So that being said, due to this and other slanderous comments made by this particular keyboard warrior and the discussions with my family personally and others closely involved, I regretfully must reconsider my offer for transportation on Election Day. And I'm expecting a lot more calls this week, and I'm not going to take them. I do have 3 that I've promised, and one lady from Ward 2 promised that she's voting for David, but I'm picking her up and taking her to the polls. And I have 2 in Ward 3 that I'll take to the polls, and just want people to know that that's the reason I'm reneging on this. Never had anything to do with politics. It just had to do with being a nice guy, helping folks out. So I will not be doing that this year, except for the 3 that I've already promised. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ross, I'm sorry.
Ross Adrian, former assistant town engineer, now resident, 37 Brayton Street in West Warwick. Want to thank the town council. In 17 years, you've not failed to entertain. And I also applaud your approval of the radios for the fire department. With so many factories in West Warwick being turned to either storage or residences, communication is of the utmost importance in that department. I wanted to assert my wish that the ordinance for unregistered vehicles be removed from town ordinance and maybe applied to zoning ordinances. It should be decided on a location base. I mean, there are a number of people in my area that have unregistered vehicles that they are working on for different reasons. Secondly, there is a drainage issue in the northeastern part of the town that I hope the town council is thinking about. Maybe, I believe, with the communication to the Army Corps of Engineers. I just wanted to mention, I hope you're thinking about that. The the other issue, I've seen a lot of signs for Mr. Padula running for town council again. And I just wanted to say that I don't really think he should be allowed to do that. Back in 2007, there was hearsay about him bilking the town for about close to 50 grand. The other thing is I can obtain hardcore evidence.
Ross.
Yes.
This isn't a council matter, and if you want, that's not for here.
All right, well, there's hardcore evidence where his ethics are not to be trusted.
Ross, you can say and do what you want, but that's not before this council.
All right.
We're not going to talk about that.
Then who would it be?
Whoever you want to talk to, but it's not going to be it's not this.
It's not the
This
forum
isn't
to
a,
do it.
this is not a council
No.
matter.
All right. The last thing, of course, was once again, the Brayton Street drainage. Okay. I have two issues with that. One is the local water table. The other is maintaining any kind of pond that could increase the number of or the amount of insect pests. That's about it for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, Mark, a question for you, just on the drainage. There's a ballot referendum, if I recall, that actually deals with drainage, and if the voters approve it.
Statewide?
Yes. Perhaps we can look into how we might be able to get some of that money for our drainage issues.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Harris, 132 West Street. The reason I am up here is the town had purchased and installed and paid for a fence that is abutting the back of my house. The reason it's so concerning is there's no buffer zone between the fence and the house, so I don't have access to the back of my house. We need a window that we need to fix, and it's impossible to get back there to fix it. We have absolutely no, I mean, if you went there, you would see there was absolutely no access. I mean, not even my cat could fit back there. So what we're asked, and the way the fence is it's very crooked. It's not even straight, but the arborvitaes that were put there are in a straight formation.
So the arborvitaes are, this is your house,
Yep,
fence, then the arborvitaes?
okay.
Or the arborvitaes in
132 is this the one that connects back? So was this fence put up during the drainage project?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it abuts Flora.
Yeah, I can
Cowles.
see where it is. Yeah, I know exactly. I know that. That's,
Okay.
I know that constituent as well. Yes, during that process, that was the fence, I believe, that we put up in exchange for her allowing the the arborvitaes, I believe, and the fence were part of the agreement with Flora at the time, because it was a different
It was
a
a
different resident at the
resident.
time, and yes.
Okay, 'cause I don't want to interrupt your
That's okay.
spiel. I spoke to another resident yesterday on the matter, and I asked for a little time to research it because for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why we would pay for a fence on private property unless we damaged it,
That was part of, it was part of that.
unless we damaged it during the drainage project. Obviously, you know, different department heads have already kind of interceded, but none of them have direct knowledge. So it kind of dawned on us today that that might be something that is in the CDBG file. So as the day ended, Acting Director Caldwell spoke with Elaine. They're going to meet tomorrow to see if there's something in there.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at the
No, I believe-
satellite view,
no,
it is a little bit crooked and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I don't understand why,
It was no, it was at the time.
why we would
No,
have
it was at the
invested.
ti- It was at the time, and correct, this could be incorrect, but I believe that's the property where at the time, previous resident that lived in your house, and there was an issue between, and the other resident said that she would allow us the easement to go through and do what we needed to do in exchange for the abrevieties, and I believe the fence, but I know definitely the abrevieties to separate the two properties.
So
you
from
can-
their perspective, the bottom line is they
I
want
understand.
access to the back of the
No, I understand.
garage.
So the
to fix-
question, I was just gonna have the question, is there a way if the town had to go in, hold on,
Yeah.
if it's probably on the property line, I don't know I
It's
don't
not on the
know.
property line.
I haven't
It
been
is-
there, I can't.
Yeah, it's never been surveyed.
Yep.
And nobody will go out and survey it.
Okay, so if it's a town fence or a town installed fence,
Yes,
okay, is there a possibility of the day or a week of you getting your windows fixed? Would they, if they remove the fence panels, could they get back there to replace those windows?
possibly, but I don't
Do
think.
you
it-
need also permission from the other person which I don't think you're feuding with, but I guess the previous two owners or the owners,
I don't know
the
who she's
situation.
feuding with, but she also has property from another person on Shippey. Is it Shippey or Curson? Shippey. And she's taken most of his land and they don't want to even fight with this. I don't know what hold she has on anybody in the town. I'm not.
I mean, I'm not a land evidence
private-
expert, but
Yeah.
So when somebody's taking somebody else's land, it's not a town matter, it's a
Right.
private matter. So
But
it would be, now, if the town installed the
I
fence,
agree.
that's another whole story. That needs to be discussed, right? And again, that was not
Right.
my ward. I probably wasn't paying attention to it, but again, if that person's taking your land
Mhm.
at that point, I mean, that's a legal battle between you two.
I get that, but we would like to try and sell our house within the year and we need to fix it up. And we don't want the people that purchase it next to have a problem with this same person.
So it sounds like,
We-
Mark, you're doing some work and you're gonna do,
we're gonna look at the CDBG file. I
Terrific.
sent a message to the former director who was in charge during that project to see if he could
Okay.
lend some insight on why we would be involved in fencing on private property.
and right against abutting a house. So yeah.
There's a lot of that doesn't make any sense,
No.
but the councilman
I
shed a
don't,
little bit of light.
I
on it,
don't know
but
why they did it so
I'll
close to your
continue
house,
to-
but I
we
do
don't
know, I
understand
do know
that
the
either.
reason at the time was there was a neighbor dispute and part of her allowing us to go through and take care of that drainage project. I mean,
And
Pete wants to add something. I know,
So
Mr.
was-
Cottrell, if you want to add
Yeah,
something.
I assume that you'll find out whether it was a temporary easement, was it permanent, why the fence went up.
I can
but
look up to the
we-
council
We
meeting.
could talk about that, and we all
yeah.
think it's
I
crazy,
just wanted
but
it
we need to,
be
yes.
brought to the
you.
attention of the town council, and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time. Pete, did you have something you were gonna say?
It was the fence. Peak Trail 25 Nowicki Street. I'm very familiar with this. I've been with it with the Thornlands and I'm with the Pachicos. The fence was purchased by the town, installed by the town. It's in, I believe her name is Kaya. It's in her deed. It's recorded in the town that the town purchased the fence, the abrevieties and $4,500 for the easement.
Yeah, if you look at the.
So the
if you look
town
at-
purchased it and the town put it up. There's only 7 inches between the fence and the back of Mr. Pacheco's garage. How do you put a window in?
No.
The fence isn't straight. This thing goes on a 30-degree angle this way.
Is it a
and
new
goes
fence or
across.
did we put a new fence or did we just repair the fence?
You
that was-
put the town put the new fence in because it goes from the back
Okay.
of Mr. Pacheco's property and his
Cuts down
abutting
to- yeah,
neighbor
it cuts down to
all
Sheep.
the way across.
Yeah, because she lives on, it's that,
So-
well, yes.
Tenant Court.
And
And if-
you were going to fix that fence because she said that Cardi's had.
Cardi's bumped it or
bumped
bent it or
and
something like
bent
that.
it, And it,
All right, I'm not aware of that.
I just want to add from my own, I mean, I looked at the GIFS
Well,
and all that. And that map shows that the town's boundary for Amin Court is 2 houses up. And she's commandeering town property. That fence should come this way.
We'll have
down
the town manager look at it. If you look at the easement, I know that it was part of the easement for where the drainage went through
Correct.
Flora's yard. So if we could just look at that and find out, I mean, I know it was when Dave Picosi was the director at the time.
The town was there putting it up. There's pictures of.
But I remember they
the town
worked hard
employees
to
there.
make sure that she was, because if she didn't allow us to use that, we would not have been able to.
No, I
go through that
understand,
property,
I understand that
so-
whole drainage project. It's just trying to get them access to their
understand.
garage, you know?
Just giving a little bit of a history of, I mean, you remember why we did it, and at the time, it was a fair deal for us to pay for
No,
these
Mr.
arborvitae's as opposed to what, we could
Mr.
have paid for an
Pacheco's,
easement.
you know, actually, she had gotten the boundary markers from Sal. And Mr. Pacheco and I went out with a rolling, construction
Right.
tape measure that goes out 100 and some feet. The fences are absolutely in the wrong spot. In my opinion, I'm not a professional, but I mean.
I know at the time Bob Boyd had
numbers are
come up to do
numbers.
some kind of surveying for the town. If you look up some of the records from that, it would have been prior to the last, it would have been about 4 years, just about
4
4
years
a
ago.
little more, yeah, a little more than 4 years ago, because the project was just finishing up at this point, so the easement would have already happened. So maybe the spring or summer of 2018 was when it would happen.
Is there a town ordinance?
27th.
Okay.
Is there a town ordinance in place as far as when you put a fence up, a budding? I don't know if Al left. I don't know if Timmy can answer. Is there an ordinance in place where land has to be surveyed before a fence is put up? No. No, okay.
Well, I'll have the town manager look into it. And if you want to leave your contact information, or have you already been in contact with?
Probably has.
No, Mark
Yes,
has- yeah,
I
Mark
spoke
has it.
to
Okay.
Mark Pacheco yesterday.
Okay.
So just a quick question. Prior to this fence being put up, was there ever a fence there before?
There was,
There was never.
there was a fence that came from the corner to the corner of Mr. Pacheco's garage. And then if you go down the back of Mr. Pacheco's garage, there was a gate that gave him access to the back side of the garage.
Okay, but there was nothing up against the garage. There's nothing
Not
going
then,
that, nothing going that direction. Now there is.
Now there is.
Okay.
He can't even go through that gate from his yard to. The fence is 7 inches away from his window.
So what
How
you're
is it-
saying is the town, and there's a lot being said here.
The town
The
purchased the
town-
fence.
And went on your property and put a fence up.
No,
So
the
the
town went
town
through-
was doing work on your private property. That's what you're saying.
It wasn't her property then, though. She wasn't
On
living there,
that-
but
on
yes,
that
yes,
property.
right, exactly.
It was the Thornton's
yeah.
property. He was here fighting for the same thing years ago.
Interesting.
The town purchased
sure,
it, the
I'm-
town.
This
paid
was, it was,
somebody
part-
to
it
put
was,
up
it was, no, it was part of the easement at the time.
For the drainage project.
And it was, yeah, it definitely came before the council at the time with the easement. We had a lot of meetings to settle the Shippey Ave project. That was one of the,
Right. I mean,
Where the arborvitae's are is probably where the fence should have been.
because if you look
All
at.
right, so
Mark will
the
take
town
care.
manager's gonna be
Yeah.
working on that and he'll get back to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for your
thank
time.
you.
for bringing your
Thanks.
concern.
Yes.
Any other public comment? Hearing none.
motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually,
Oh, no, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Hold on one second, everybody.
The town manager just informed me. I think we need to take a moment of silence for the passing of Tori Lynn Andriozzi. She had passed yesterday. If anybody remembers, this is the individual that got hit by the school bus on East Greenwich Avenue.
yeah, it was back, I know.
Just got
more-
off the school bus and was hit by an impaired.
A
driver.
car. Yeah, hit by a car as you got off, yes, and the Andriozzi family actually has a foundation, does a lot of work with the kids still. I actually am aware of it because my daughter Abigail was in school with Tori, and Abby's 32 now, so that happened a long time. I think it happened when they were in 7th grade. So a moment of silence
Moment
would
of
be.
silence. Thank you. Thank you. That being said,
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mary Beth whispered her second in case you didn't get it.
I got it, thank you.
I
She wanted
started
to
to, and
stay
then it was
longer.
gone. Yeah, no.